Another round of Weekend Classic begins in about a day or so. I'm recording this before because, shouldn't be here this weekend. But I am not taking part. That doesn't mean you guys aren't. So I wanted to show you a little bit of a free-to-play perspective in terms of team building and what we can do to have a better, hopefully better experience from the perspective of someone who spends no money on this game. And probably where a lot of you guys are as well. Instead of using the best cards, we just sort of use what works, and we'll sort of see what happens. And we'll kind of manipulate and build as we go along here. You'll see my thought process all throughout, and this is the team I would bring if I were playing. So if you like this stuff, leave a like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Leave a comment down below. You're taking part in Weekend Classic. If not, hey, I understand. It was kind of a mess this time, and I don't think they're necessarily going to clean it up. So let's get into this thing. So starting this thing off, the first thing I suggest everyone do is take a look at Supercharged just to make sure there's something there. The only one that might be, will probably still be there will be Javi Baez. He is the shortstop here. Javi Baez will probably be the only one there. He will be he will be balanced hit in the 80s. He can play short. I wouldn't say he's the best guy we have at the moment at short, but he's probably one of the better ones if you don't have some high diamond stuff. So I would say just put him there unless something changes. We don't have to. So first, also make sure their programs are done, and by that I mean make sure you get this done. I'm gonna be grinding this as soon as I'm done here, trying to finish this thing up. Because in terms of like these guys, like Brandon Donovan, I think will play a very fine second base if you don't have a better one, like a Ketel Marte or something. He will be a fine second baseman for you with that max power against righties, decent against lefties. The power isn't the greatest. The clutch will bring him down against righties, but we can try to make it work. But I think where it is, he should be fine if you need him, or you have him on the bench, because the dude could play everywhere, apart from center and catcher. The guy can play everywhere. I would say Luke Weaver belongs in your pen. 5 pitches, max hit per 9, K per 9 is good. His clutch is really good. Breaks there, velocity. I think he belongs in your bullpen, definitely. Pete Alonso can play first. If you think you swing better with somebody, you can put him there if you want to DH him. Totally valid. He should probably be in the lineup somewhere if you're free to play, because these cards should be pretty good. Wyatt Langford, on the other hand, if you don't want to put him in, I think that's valid, depending on if you sort of feel like you need the defense in left. If you need the defense in left, he's definitely a guy. Or he's going to be a bench guy that you're going to play. If you are playing someone a little bit less adequate in left field, he can definitely fill that void later on when you need a little bit more defensive stuff. And of course, talking about the spotlight guys, Kyron Paris is another one. He could play second base for you for sure if you like his swing. Rhys Hoskins, I think, again, is one of those guys. If you want to play on first base, nothing wrong with that. Westberg, I did not like this card, to be honest with you. If you don't have a better third baseman, I guess you can play him. Trent Grisham, sort of the same thing. He's an okay card, not the greatest, but if you want to throw him in there, you can. However, I do think this card definitely warrants being in the lineup. When you get there and you get it all, Corbin Carroll's definitely the guy. I think he's a really good leadoff number 2 guy. His clutch being in the 90, dropping his contact versus rights, not the biggest thing in the world. It'll be fine. And he's got speed. Like I said, I think you can lead off with him. I think he'd be set. I think he's a 1-2 hitter, personally, the best in my opinion. But yeah, they're all there. If you wanted the other collection, if you get it, of course, I would say put those cards in there. Those cards are pretty good as well. But let's sort of go around the diamond here. I didn't really change. I like the Rod Carew card. I know he doesn't have the power a lot of people like. I like this card. He hits pretty well for me. I've used him a little bit in DD. He's only hitting 250 with the 2 homers. They were homers. I feel like I get the bat on the ball a lot with him. And CPU, I guess I'm not hitting with him anyway. I don't know why. I like his swing. It's really odd. But in terms of like replacements, if you are sort of like, well, what else is there? Anthony Rizzo isn't the worst thing in the world, but again, I would say Pete Alonso is definitely probably the best option out of the bunch, to be honest with you, would be him. Mark McGuire is a solid option as well, depending on where you're playing. If you are a little bit higher, that vision will come back to bite you square in the tuchus. So keep that in mind. David Ortiz is probably more of a DH type, but again, defensive ability to first base really isn't an issue as long as your throws are green. You should be okay. Tony Clark as well, pretty balanced, pretty solid for him. I don't know if you wouldn't necessarily care about the low overalls. It's kind of the same thing with these guys where it's like, hey, they're a little bit more balanced, but they're not going to be stellar. And the same thing with like Todd Helton. He's probably fallen off a little bit, but I would say like probably if you got Tony Clark and you have nothing else, you should be okay. Second base, I like Bobby Gertz's swing. Not everyone else does. I would say if you're looking for a replacement, Kyron Paris would probably be a good one. If you like Jazz's swing, and you want a little bit more speed out of second base, that's perfectly fine too. It really comes down to sort of swing and where you feel like you are at. If you, like I said, if you kind of like, hey, let's get a little bit more speed and a decent enough bat, Paris is your guy. Same. I would say these two guys are probably similar in that regard, where it's a little bit more balance and speed, but you can go Paris. Again, Javi Baez would be my choice if you don't have him. In terms of like what's available in terms of like free to play market, probably not a lot. You could go with the Ozzie Smith and just say, hey, we're going to play defense out there. Jackie Robinson, I would say, is pretty solid. He's got usually a good swing. I think Willie Adames would be okay. Same thing, Anthony Volpe. But I would say if you got just get supercharged bias and rock it. Third base is where I think things get a little bit funky. And the reason being, I really like this Chris Bryant card. I think it's pretty good for 90 overall. Then you got Josh Jung, who's a left-handed specialist. If you think you're going to be facing more lefties, go with Josh for sure. He can still hold his own against righties, but lefties, you see the numbers there. He's a masher. Jordan Westbrook, I sort of talked about. I didn't think this card was overly spectacular. Didn't really care for it when it dropped. But you know, hey, if you like the swing, you like the swing. Alex Bregman, I think, is another one that's sneaky. He could be that. If you want to go that route, good swing. I think a lot of people like him. Scott Rowland, the free one, kind of okay. I know a lot of people like Terry Pendleton. If you like him, you can stick him there as well. In terms of the outfield, I think this is where the most versatility come into play. Like I said, if you want to put Wyatt Langford out there, you totally can. Riley Green could be a good one. If you like Riley swing, want a lefty, I pulled Lord Voldemort. I'm probably not going to play him in the outfield. You can always just stick with Manny. That seems to be a valid option. Again, depending on how much speed you want, you can totally go with someone like Sedonia here. I think maybe depending on line of construction, we can stick Riley out there. I think center field for me is going to be Ken Griffey. I don't really see that changing. There's not a lot of options here. You could, I mean, I'm a stickler for defense, so I guess in the argumentatively thing, if I wanted to do something like this, I probably would, truth be told, stick Pete Crow Armstrong there. I think this card's low-key really, really good. I like the swing from Pete Crow Armstrong. I think the back end's disgusting. He's going to track everything out. He's going to steal for you. He's going to do a lot of stuff. He could be your leadoff hitter for sure. And like I was sort of talking about here too, you could always just put Reese there. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention this. If you don't want to put Javi there and you got Honus, put Honus there. You'll have a little bit speedier lineup, and I think this tandem works pretty well. Yeah. Right field, I don't know if there's necessarily a lot of options, but I would say if you kind of are sort of like, well, what do we do here? You could always do... Here, we used to do this. You could... he's on the bench. You could always do this one. You could always put Griffey in center and put Pete in right. He's going to play fine there. He still is going to be chasing things down, so you have some solid defense here. Because I think if you move Griffey out, it's not going to be the greatest. So if you want to keep Griffey there and kind of let Pete sort of do his thing, or this is totally valid. That's probably what I would do, to be honest with you, if I were in this thing. Catching wise, I would say Ted Simmons is the best available if it's not Carlos Santana, which sucks because that card's an overpriced piece. Is overpriced right now. If you can finish the NL Central and get Ted Simmons, he's a glitchy boy. I would say use him at this juncture. If you have Veritek's still pretty good. I think this guy, Augustine Ramirez, is going to be very sneaky. Reason being, That's a lot of 80s. He's balanced at an 80. He's going to hit a lot. I think he'll hit pretty well for a lot of people, especially being this balanced. I think that's just very good for a card. And he's free to get. Why not use him? I think this is a really good card to use if you don't nearly have like a better catcher. I think Augustine definitely in the running. Some people, I mean, hell, even I think Carson Kelly's not exactly the worst thing in the world either, in terms of like that. But if you can get your hands on Augustine, that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, when it comes to DH, it's just going to be whatever you feel. I think in terms of free to play, nothing's really going to be JD. I think JD's pretty darn good, depending on kind of what you want here. In terms of the bench, my rule of thumb is a lefty killer, someone who can handle righties fairly well. If you can find it, so like a righty killer, a lefty killer, for sure. Someone who can kind of handle both. Like this would be sort of like, oh, I can just throw him in there. He can handle both. And then this one, maybe the righty killer or switch hitter would probably be what I'm looking at here, because we got the guy who can handle lefties. Now a switch hitter or a lefty. Tony Clark would probably be my switch hitter. He kind of fits that like switch hitting thing. And then I'm gonna use Logan Hoppy as a back catcher if I were playing, and that would be that. So now let's talk about the pitching rotation. In terms of this, I would say go with what your feel is. In terms of guys who I think would be good, I think Johnny Cueto would be fairly good as a free-to-play option. Logan Webb is a free-to-play option, pretty good. I've been throwing Walker Buehler, don't necessarily think he's a sticking point. I might throw in someone like Dustin May, because he is pretty effing good. In terms of this, it doesn't really matter, so throw who you think's your best guy. If you want to be cheeky, be cheeky. I might leave it kind of like this. I might replace Chase Burns with someone, maybe a Paul Skeens, to be honest with you, and then like leave Max. It's more than likely you're going to go through it once, but you can always kind of mix and match. You're sort of like, ooh, don't like that, or something better comes out. So remember, there are going to be cards that come out between now and then. You might pull something between now and then. Now, in terms of bullpen construction, this is where I think things kind of get a little bit creative. I would say if you've done the Diamond Quest, we'll build backwards. The closer is probably going to be Adam Ottavino. He's gross. He's always been gross. In terms of setup, I like having Hoffman here. He throws slow, but he's got the 5 pitches. In the terms of this, the 2 setup guys, because they give you 2, would be Chapman. To me, Chapman and Hoffman. And then for this, we can go. I like Jelly here. Sinker, knuckle curve cutter. Doesn't really matter. I think the 3 pitch thing is kind of just odd, because most of the time you're only going to throw 2 or 3 pitches anyway, so this isn't a big deal for me. In terms of kind of like another lefty, if you have Soto, you can throw Soto. might opt for Homeby Miller here. He's a little bit more funky. He's a little bit more control. I would throw Kopech for a little bit of velocity. Yeah, again, 3 pitches, but let's see if they can hit velo. In terms of like the third emergency lefty, you could go Mark Davis, depending on if you want more pitches. So over, say, over like Tanner Scott. But in terms of like the last slot here, fill whatever you want. If you kind of want like another hard throwing lefty, throw in Billy Wagner. You could always throw in the tops now, Thomas Harrington, as sort of like a mop up sort of pitcher. They kind of help it out. He's got 4 pitches. He'd probably get the job done, but that's probably the best pin we can get for our dollar. And if you're kind of like, well, what else is there? Well, if you're not like me and having the worst possible luck on that Easter Conquest map, there's some other stuff here too. So some notable guys that if you have, I would throw them in there. I'm going to get probably, if you have Ryan McMahon, you could totally 100% play McMahon at third. He might be this option, honestly. DeGrom, if you want to throw him, feel free to throw him. He's Jacob DeGrom. If you can get this done, I think I can probably finish it. I just need to do a couple more things to get Donaldson. He would be in the pen 1,000% would be starting. Would be Josh Donaldson for sure. Threads, if you have Santander, of course, throw him in there. If you got some of those guys, throw him in there. I think DeFreeze is sort of past him being in there, but if you have him, feel free. And then in terms of just other random guys from these collections, of course, Polanco. You can feel free to play Polanco. Same thing with Tim Raines. You somehow pulled Tim Raines, feel free. In terms of these two, I think Eric probably could be in the pen if you really, really, really wanted him to be. Definitely not the worst four-seam sinker. I think he has outlier. He's got outlier 1 and 2. He's going to throw hard those 2 pitches. Ricky, probably not going to be starting unless you really want speed. But I would say if you have Egrig, put him in the pen as well. Wade Boggs, if you have him, he's cheaper than dirt. He's slappy as well. Pasquantino, balanced. He might sneak into some line of Shane Langoliers. I think has some power if you need it from the catcher spot. Totally valid. Jason Bay, probably not. I like his swing, but if you really are desperate, feel free. Matt Brash could be an interesting one. 5 pitches out of the pen. Might be worth the pickup here. I think that's about it. Like I said, Jelly, pretty good, but if you get Brash, you could flip him out with it. To be completely honest with you. And if you really kind of like a sneaky lefty killer, Eguy Rosario definitely fits the bill. Jeffrey Springs could also be a sneaky starting pitcher if you want to throw off someone's tempo. Tony Olivia, probably not. Edward Cabrera is not as good as he once was, but because he has no quirks. So there's a little bit of that. That's, I think, mainly it. In terms of bosses, I would say if you have both of them, I'm going to try to get there in the next couple of days because I won't be here Friday. If you can get Gibson, I would say throw Gibson in there. If you want to buy him, go nuts. I don't think these guys are worth the stubs, at least the 2 in. But there you go. There's the team. And then in terms of lineup, just sort of go with your feel. If you want more power at the top, more speed. It's 9 inning games, so keep all that in mind. So there's a quick little breakdown here to sort of get your minds going. Again, I don't know what cards are necessarily coming out Friday. There could be some bombers in there. And I know most people, for the record, I would suggest if you take Friday to prep a little bit more, because that's when everything will be available. There's no reason to go crazy on Friday. If you start Saturday, you start Saturday. You could do it in 2 days and play 3 games or start late Friday. Just make sure you get yourself in the best possible way to get a team ready, all that fun stuff. So with that being said, my name is Specs. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye, guys.